Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about the recent controversy with the website GEDmatch. If you already follow genealogy news, you've probably already been hearing a lot about this, but it's a really interesting story. So GEDmatch is basically a genealogy website where if you've had your DNA done through a commercial DNA company like Ancestry DNA or something like that, you can upload your results to GEDmatch and it'll find people that you're related to. It's a really fantastic tool because GEDmatch has like 1 million users, so there's plenty of people to match with, and it's fantastic for building your family tree. Okay, so in 2018, law enforcement officials started using GEDmatch on cold cases. As of April 2019, 60 cold cases and 11 John and Jane Doe cases had been solved through GEDmatch. If you're interested in true crime, I highly suggest you just look it up on Google because it's amazing. You'll see crimes that have been unsolved for ages, and they're probably ones that are familiar to you. One of the most famous cases has been the capture of the Golden State Killer. That's Joseph James DeAngelo. So this guy was a former police officer and was responsible for at least 13 murders, more than 50 rapes, and over 100 burglaries in California between 1974 and 1986. He was also known as the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker. At first they didn't realize that those were like both the same person, but you know, DNA, it's amazing. So he likely never would have been caught without GEDmatch. He's now 73 years old, and if he's convicted, he'll face either life in prison or possibly the death penalty. The first case that'll go to trial though is that of the murders of 21-year-old Jay Cook and 17-year-old Tanya Van Cuylenborg, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, in 1987. This couple were on an overnight trip from Vancouver to Seattle and they were reported missing after they didn't arrive home. About a week later, their bodies were discovered, and despite the police chasing down hundreds of leads and even trying DNA testing in the 90s and 2000s, they didn't manage to arrest anybody. Last year though, when police tried the GEDmatch database, they managed to come up with a perfect match. William Earl Talbot II, a guy who'd grown up in the area. He had no criminal history and he'd never been a suspect, but the DNA match was perfect. He was their killer. So last week the jury selection began for this case, and it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out because it'll be the first one that has used DNA through genealogy to catch a murderer. So it may set a precedent for the other cases. So back to GEDmatch. When GEDmatch allowed the police to search their databases and solve all those cases, they were within their rights. They had it in their policy that the user's data might be used in homicide and sexual assault investigations. The problem arose, however, when the police used the website in an assault case. This case was pretty horrible. It was an elderly woman who was attacked while playing the organ in church. And using the GEDmatch data, the police caught the guy who did it. Many people were really happy with him being caught, but at the same time other people were raising questions that it was breaching the user's agreement on the website. Like, if the website owners can bend the rules in this case, then where does it end? It could be a slippery slope. So this put the owners of the GEDmatch website in a real ethical dilemma. Like, on the one hand, their website was helping police catch really bad people and put them away. And on the other hand, the DNA had been submitted to the website in good faith by people who were building their family tree. So while most people probably accept their data being used in some cases, they might have limitations as to how far they're willing to let that go. So just note, the cases that have already been solved, the perpetrators didn't personally upload their data to the GEDmatch website. Police found them through relatives who had uploaded their DNA to the website. So, I mean, how much do you own your own DNA? If all of your relatives share it, I mean, how can one person give permission for everyone's DNA? It's a bit of a dilemma. So to solve this problem, GEDmatch changed their terms once again, and they decided that people would have to opt in if they were willing to let law enforcement use their data in investigations. But this means that initially GEDmatch opted everybody out, effectively making their database zero. This means that for law enforcement, it's completely useless. So 50,000 people have so far opted back in, and you never know, that number might grow, but at 50,000 it's useless now. So there won't be any more cases being solved that way. So what are your thoughts on the GEDmatch drama? Personally, I think it was an amazing tool for unsolved crimes, even if that wasn't the original intention of the product. And it seems like such a shame for it to go to waste. Like, I'd personally suggest having the users opt out rather than opt in, and that way people who feel kind of neutral about it might not bother, and only people who feel really strongly about opting out will do so, and it'll probably make the database bigger. It's a really heavy decision for the website owners to have to face, but I think of the victims' families from the unsolved crimes and the possible John and Jane Doe cases, missing persons that could be solved, and personally I think it's worth it. So please let me know your thoughts. Would you opt out or opt in, or what would you do with the website if you had the choice? Please let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more like this, and head to our Patreon page if you want to become a patron and support us in making further videos. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye!